All right, let's get myself into light just a little bit. Go over here. There you go. All right, there's a better view for you guys, and I'll get out of the sun. All right, much better. So welcome back to Paranormal Witchcraft, LLC. I am Tobias Josephson. So welcome if you're just tuning in, or welcome back if you're just coming back. Oh, look who it is. You are the first. Let me turn this overhead light off. It's a little bit much. All right. It's going to have to do. So, good morning, everybody. I took a mental health break, so I took a week off of all social media and internet completely, pretty much. I checked notifications and stuff for admin responsibilities, but that was about it. So, that being said, a much needed reset energetically, etc. So, welcome back to Paranormal Witchcraft, LLC. This is the channel where we approach the paranormal differently than everybody else in the world. At least right now, anyways. You know how trends go. So, fear is driving paranormal investigations right now. Everywhere you look, if you look at Paracons, if you look at some of the posts, all right, and no one wants to admit it. That was the title of the post that I shared about an hour ago. So that's what we're talking about today, right off the bat, is fear is now taking over paranormal investigation, where there's very little investigation at all. There's a lot of purporting, a lot of aggravated investigations where people just kick in the door and they're the paranormal police or something, and everybody wants everyone else following them in the place to truly believe, all right, that you're going to have dark things chasing you and pulling your hair and scratching you and throwing you across the room, and that's just not true. So let me ask something most paranormal investigators won't say to you out loud, but this paranormal investigator will. Fear isn't just happening in investigations anymore. It's driving them. I hate to say that, I really do, but I don't know what else to call it. When I look at people's Paracons and these big events, what I see more and more and more and more is accessorizing. Everyone's accessorizing their investigation now. You have to have a special handbag or a special backpack or Ouija board accessories or seance board. You don't need any of that. Those are all accessories that you don't need. Remember what we were talking about before I took the break. You are the best device, the best piece of investigation knowledge, the best paranormal investigation tool there is out there. And you're free. Okay, so keep that in mind going forward. And if that's true, that fear isn't just happening in investigations, it's driving them, then everything we think we're experiencing needs to be questioned. Let's see who arrived this morning. We have Chris, we have Dark Light Pyre, and we have Truth Carol Readings. Hello, guys. How are you this morning? Welcome back. Thank you for giving me the week-long reprieve. I didn't work on a goddamn thing I said I was going to work on, but I did get peace and quiet, and so I'll take it. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that affected last week's week off to get stuff done, but it happens, man. So because most investigators don't start with activity, they start with anticipation. And anticipation turns into tension, and tension then turns into fear, and fear changes your behavior. Be honest with me. Have you ever walked into a location already expecting something to happen? When I was brand new, I thought that's what paranormal investigation meant. Didn't matter where I was going to go, who I was going to hunt with, I was going to get scared out of my mind. That's the naive belief I had when I first approached the paranormal. Everybody does. All right. But if you learn the difference, all right, there's a lot more to be said than just going to a place to get scared. All right. Paranormal investigation is not some form of amusement park ride. Okay. That's why I say it looks more like paranormal carnivals than it does paranormal investigations these days. I hate to say that. There's a lot of good investigators out there, but not enough. Because the ones that want to drive all these bells and these whistles and these extra unneeded things, that's why I put my spotlight on. You don't need these extra things. They're fun to look at and they're fun to use, but you really don't need them. You just need yourself to investigate. Let's continue. So the real question isn't what's in the room anymore. It's what are we bringing into the room? Who are you bringing into the investigation with you? That's probably the most important question that should be on most investigators' mind going forward for the rest of the year. Who are we bringing with us? Are they going to be somebody who's expecting? Okay. So the real question isn't what's in the location or what's in the environment anymore. It is what are we bringing in? Right? Are you bringing in everything you've bought and you're going to set it up everywhere you can think of? Or are you going to take a more relaxed containment approach, containment over chaos, evidence over egos, and slow your roll a little bit? Give the room a chance. All right. Instead of putting TNT on all the doors and all the places where you want to boom, give the room a chance. So the question isn't what's in the location or what's at Penhurst anymore because everybody knows. Okay. It now becomes what's going into Penhurst. You, and if you're going into Penhurst, are you expecting something? Are you expecting to be scared shitless? You probably are. Most people are. When I go to a location, of course, that's what we think about. It's exciting. It gets your adrenaline going. Your brain starts going, man, that'll be great if we get this and that'll agree. I get it, but you gotta slow your roll. I think what most people are doing is they're getting overly excited. They're trying way too hard. Okay. And so they think if they throw more lines out into the ocean of the ether, you're going to catch something. And that's takes a little more experience and knowledge than to just do that. Okay. Be honest with me. Have you ever walked into a location already expecting something to happen? Yes. And that silence, when you walk in, it's quiet, nothing's happening. And that silence starts getting uncomfortable for a lot of people. A lot of people really don't know how to sit with themselves. That's what we're getting at here. If you can't sit alone with yourself for 5 minutes without any device on, without anything in your hand, you have an emotional and a psychological problem. All right. Which means you have to have something keeping you in something when you don't need those things at all. It's an illusion that you need those devices. It's nice to have the Phasm camera. It really is. Where'd it go? It's great to have a Phasm camera. It really is. It's great to have a Ouija EMF board. It's great. But notice I don't pull them out all the time, every single time I do a live. Like I've told you guys, most times when I go to a real hunt myself, I have everything with me, but it doesn't mean I'm bringing everything out. It's good to be prepared, but you don't need to put it all. You're putting all your cards on the table before anything has even happened, before a play or a hand has even been shown. You're trying to bluff the room. You're trying to bluff society. You're You're trying to bluff everyone and perhaps even yourself. Think about it. Okay. Remember, this little camera is $400. This little itty bitty camera. Okay. Wouldn't you rather just get a ghost app on here, a deep recording device, and a camcorder and start there? Okay. I know everybody wants these radios that do music boxes, and everybody wants the dead time bell, and everybody needs, everybody has to have. But remember, when you start out, you usually start out with just yourself. You build through time. You don't just go to the races like everyone else is around you because you think that's how investigation is done. Just because everyone else is using all their tools, just because everybody else is getting all their friends together and doing the same thing everyone else is doing because they saw it on TV too, doesn't mean that's the right way to do paranormal investigation. So let's break it down. What actually happens in most investigation, guys? You walk in, it's quiet, nothing's happening. That silence starts eating at most people, and you can't handle it. That's the truth. It gets uncomfortable for you. Just like our podcasts here. All right, they're conflicting. They rub people the wrong way. It causes conflict. Sometimes it causes debate in here, but it has to be asked. We're not here to debate with you guys. We're here to see what everybody thinks about these questions. We're trying to touch the pulse of the paranormal community. And if you notice, there's only 3 people here. What does that tell you? Okay, that tells you the rest of the teams around us don't want to admit stuff like this because what does it do? It messes up their role, messes up their routine, messes up their scam in some cases. Someone speaks, someone asks a question, someone tries to trigger something. That's a key word, isn't it? Trigger. All right, like putting your trigger on a gun. Guns don't kill people. The people who hold the guns do. Do you understand what we're trying to say? Okay. If you're not a good human and you're a paranormal investigator, you're probably using escalation. And the moment that happens, the investigation shifts. I'll take some comments here. Right. Yes, it does. Yep. Great answers, guys. Thank you. How have you guys been over the last week? I missed you all. Dark Pyre, I hope everything's okay on the home front. Truth Tarot reading. I checked out your channel. Pretty cool. Interesting. I like that. You have your own office space there, kind of like I do here. I have a secondary office, but because it's still cold out, we're not using that right now. Fonda will use it sometimes overnight when I'm sleeping back there, but until we get our HVAC cleaned and windows and some more work on this house done, I probably won't be using the Paranormal Witchcraft office I built until it hits like 70 degrees outside at this time. Otherwise, it's just too cold back there for me. So anyways, so the moment somebody starts using escalation, and the moment that happens, what happens? The investigation, the environment, the room, the location, even Pennhurst shifts. When I went to Pennhurst 2024, what I saw was escalation. That's all I saw. People pulling shit out of the air with a location that had damn near 1,500 people walking around in it for 12 hours. And people were calling it evidence, and people were calling it this, walking by them in the hallways and the tunnels. And I remember just walking by quietly going, what are these people really doing? What do they really think they're capturing? Everybody had their phone out. They were all doing podcasts while there was a team in plain sight adjacent to them doing Estes methods. I mean, it was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. The amount of people that thought they were capturing evidence. And I didn't say a word the entire trip. I just watched people and we just shook our heads. Me and Fonda were just like, what are people doing? You're waiting all day in line to look at fear factor. Project Fear, Destination Fear, I forgot what it is, and those people. You're waiting all day to do that, to look at somebody. Or you're doing those little investigations at a Paracon where you shouldn't be doing investigation at all, really, until they're planned for those events. That's why they have hunts planned at those events, because those are the times set aside for hunting. But yet everybody who goes there wants to do their own hunt from a place like Penhurst, from a place like wherever. Take your pick, okay? Why do they do that? That's exactly why. You might see that I took a couple pictures of Fonda and Sandy while we were there, and stuff inside. But if you look back at myself, Fonda, and Sandy Bowersox, who went with us for that whole week, we didn't do podcasts. We did a small investigation with everyone else in the tunnel, but within 5 minutes, we were over it and we left the tunnel while everyone else stayed down there and continued all day to do these little mini investigations. Do you see what we're trying to say? Is that the majority of the generations coming up below us have no idea what it really means to be a serious, hardcore paranormal researcher. If you're creating things that are meant to be accessories to paranormal investigation, then we've definitely lost the word passion for paranormal investigation and research now. Because now all I see is bells, whistles, and it looks more like a carnival than they do paracons or investigations. I'm sorry. That's what I see. Okay? Here's the part nobody talks about. The louder it gets, the louder that somebody argues with you that you're wrong means you're right. Keep your mouth quiet and let them be. Okay? There's so many of them out there that will argue with you tooth and nail. All right? Just leave them be. They don't want to hear this. It's okay. So here's the part nobody really wants to talk about. The louder it gets at an investigation, the more emotional it gets, the more activity that gets reported, right? Now, we're going to stick with this arc for the next 7 days. And then at the end of this 7 days, which is next Friday, I believe it's the 4th, okay, or the 5th, I forget, we'll be doing a different arc, all right, asking another hard question. It won't be experiment-based this time, etc. All right. So we are asking the hard questions in a way that engages you guys and makes you guys lean in and go, maybe he's right. All right. Maybe we are. Maybe we aren't. All right. That's the beauty about investigation. But what actually changed when that happens, when it gets louder? What is actually changing, guys? It's like you said before that you're using all the batteries up for one investigation doing that. You're putting every single piece of advice, every single piece of equipment to the test. All right. All because you want to be seen like everybody else. So let's put that into perspective. There's probably at least a couple million, if not more, in the United States alone, just doing paranormal investigation. That's right. You heard me correctly, and I'm probably very, very conservative in those numbers. The paranormal investigation industry is one of the hottest niches in the world right now because of the fear driving narrative. It's like going to Six Flags. People get excited about it. It looks like something you can make a lot of money at fairly quickly. I get it. Okay. And this is where we're going to get a little edgy with people. But what actually changed? Did the environment change? No. Those buildings have been around, these houses, these places that have histories that everyone knows about have not moved. They're stationary houses. They can't do anything. Who's causing the issues? Has to be the humans then. Because the houses, as well, they can do things to us. They can't get up and walk around per se, right? Okay. So, what actually changed? The location or the humans going to it? Right? Goes back to 2 weeks ago when I would say, who moved, us or other companies? Right? If we're minding our business and someone throws a rock at you, who moved? You didn't do anything wrong. All right? That's an analogy there. Because the environment didn't change. Somebody just wants you to think that happened. The people in it changed. They lost control of their baseline. They weren't using any form of responsibility or authority or containment. Okay? To them, it's a rave. All their friends are with them. They've got booze. They've got whatever else they've got with them. All right? They're going to hang out all night. They're going to put everything they've got. All right? They bought $50 worth of extra batteries. You get the idea. All right? And so that's what people do. They think it's like camping with the paranormal. It kind of is, but it's kind of not either at all. Okay? And that's the part nobody talks about is when nothing happens, because that's the boring part. Nobody wants to hear that part. But the truth be told, that's probably the most important part of an investigation to pay attention to is the silences. Because one emotion spiked, observation drops. And this is again where it gets uncomfortable. Fear doesn't stay contained to one person, it spreads like a contagion. One reaction turns into two, and within 15 seconds, the entire room, without even realizing it, agrees with that person. Oh, yeah. All right. It's called think tank mentality. Everybody wants it. And so it's the easiest plausible thing that jumps into your brain. And so everybody goes right along with it without going, well, wait a minute. I didn't sense anything. Just because you did doesn't mean I did. Right. One reaction turns into two, turns into the whole team, the whole room. Now all the energy is shifted and you've lost all control of your baseline. Now you're escalating, not investigating. Escalating versus investigating. There's a huge difference. Fear spreads faster than any evidence ever will. I'm going to say that again. Fear spreads faster than any evidence ever will. That's what makes it such a tricky emotion. You have to use logic. So now we have to ask something else most investigators will avoid. Are we reacting to the environment or are we reacting to each other? The variable might not be the location. It might be the people inside it. What if fear isn't just happening? What if everyone around us is using fear on purpose? I'm psychic. I don't need to know the answer because I already know the answer. It's very clear if we look around us, and even YouTube itself gives you suggestions when you build a thumbnail to look concerned. But that's still performing in a way. That's why I don't like using it. I get it. It's the only way to advertise without sharing and getting restricted, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But I like to advertise word of mouth. If you like what you see here, if you like what you hear here, then come back. All right. Think about thumbs upping at the top there. Think about becoming a subscriber. This is our channel. This is what we do every day, twice a day. This is how intense we like it to be. I don't really care about that. So let's turn that off. So we have some new comments I'm missing. Let's go back down and see what we got. More evidence you show, more people look. What you don't throw yourself into, as in following the rules, so you be safe for yourself and the team. Yes. So when you go to a place like Penhurst or Walnut Hill or wherever it is, it doesn't matter. Don't you want to be respectful? Just because it's abandoned, everyone has this preconceived notion that you don't have to be respectful. When did that change? When did anyone anywhere in the paranormal field ever tell any other paranormal teams or lead investigators that it was okay to be rude or hostile towards spirits? Wasn't an investigator like myself or Matt or other people I know. So who was it? I can tell you where it came from because we all know where it came from. Television is the problem with paranormal investigation. All right? Because what is TV set up for? It is set up to keep you engaged. And how do you think they keep you engaged? By playing on your sense of fears. From the news to the weather to everything else. I want you to think about that pattern and keep thinking about that pattern in your daily lives. From your job to when you pump gas and grab a coffee, look at the way people are behaving towards each other. You'll see a lot of hostility, a lot of ignorance, a lot of me, I. All right. That is not paranormal investigation. That is not a team of paranormal investigators. That is people telling you guys that every place they go, all right, those spirits know them on a first name basis. And that is something that very rarely happens. I'm sorry. Fear isn't just happening, it's being used on purpose. Everywhere. Every day. From the news you watch, all right, to the people driving next to you, all right, they want everyone to get out of their way. It's all about them. We're just human beings here. We have no authority over the spirit world. I'm sorry. We might have a few of us that are on good terms, etc., but nobody holds power over the spiritual realms. I'm sorry. So all these people that think the more they dress up, the more bigger, badder, etc. devices they can find, that's how they're going to pull themselves ahead of the packs now. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. There's going to be VR usage. The point is that paranormal investigation is changing. Has been changing for some years now. And necessarily so, and being done so on purpose. Also being reinforced as fact, as real evidence. That's something I have a problem with also. Because it creates something. It creates reactions, it creates moments, it creates what people call activity. Notice I said what people call activity. Right? At what point does an investigation stop being observation and start becoming performance? Because lately that is all I see. Once you need something to happen, your behavior changes. I gotta have that job. I gotta have that money. Gotta have that car. Nothing's gonna stop me from doing that type behavior. Has no place in paranormal research or investigation. I'm sorry, people on TV. Disagree with me all you want. I've never met half of you and I don't care. But that being said, okay, that's why those people like the limelight. They like the fact you give them attention. It's not even about their teams, it's the lead investigators that want your attention the most. You won't see this paranormal investigator ever doing a I don't believe in being a fake person ever. All right, that's what bothers me. about most people on this planet is most people are acting fake and ignorantly don't even know it because they've been raised with the internet. That's their problem, not mine. But that being said, I dress the way I want, okay? I am who I am. There's only one Tobias. Do you understand what we're saying? Just because you're a unique person is great, okay? But that doesn't mean you have something that's better than everybody else on the planet. And that's where the ego has to stop, okay? I'm not the end all be all investigator. I'm a small startup business that happens to disagree with a lot of the industry because it's all for show, it's all for numbers, and it's all for greed. That's all it is. It's all for them to feel good about themselves. I don't need to do that. We don't need to do that at Paranormal Witchcraft. Chris and the people in the audience don't need to do that because they're one percenters. There's about 83 million, give or take, 1% human beings. And what do I mean by that? I mean the people who don't get affected by the fads, by the news, by the politics, by the disinformation, by people's egos, by people's behaviors. My silence isn't ignorance. Never has been, never will be. That being said, I never feel the need to explain myself. It drives me nuts when I have to explain myself to somebody. All right. That's not what social media was ever created for, is so someone else can tap you and go, I don't like you. Why'd you do that? I don't like you. Why'd you do that? I don't like you. Why'd you do that? You look at that person. I don't like that. That is not a social media experience. That is personalities run riot. And I hope Meta's going to take care of that. Okay. At one point, does it stop being observation and it starts being performance? All right. I would say most paranormal investigations these days are performance before they've even got to the location. Just a guess. All right. I'm probably close to right. Okay. Most people think if you drive that fear, people will tune in. That's not necessarily true. What if somebody isn't afraid of ghosts or demons? It ain't going to work on someone like me. I'm a witch. Okay. I deal with the spiritual realm every day and I'm psychic. So I think it makes me uniquely qualified. But that's just my opinion. All right. I've heard lots of people say otherwise to me. So take your pick. That's what I'm talking about. There's a lot of people that the first time I said I think I'm psychic, you know what happened? Some person on social media actually had the nerve to go, can I test you to see if you're psychic? No, you can't do that. Because you know what that tells me? You're a skeptic. I don't want to deal with skeptics. All right. Either you believe in psychism or you don't. All right. Doesn't matter to me which one you believe. Either you believe in witchcraft or you don't. Doesn't matter to our team which one you believe. Okay. You either believe in ghosts and demons in the spirit world or you don't. You can't ride a fine line in between. You just can't do it. You have to be one or the other. Okay. And people will notice by the way you act, by the way you carry yourself, and by the way you talk. Okay. Because once you need something to happen, your behavior changes. You talk more. You'll push more. We know you're here. We're not leaving until you come out. All right. Again, they're probably sitting there just filing their nails, just going, well, eventually they'll leave. Okay. The more you talk, the more you push, the faster you react. And the moment you start pushing and doing any of that, you're no longer doing paranormal investigation because you've stopped observing. Nobody's observing right now. Very few good ones out there are. There are good investigators out there, lots of them, but they're being overshadowed by the other billions, right, who want to perform. with their investigations. They want to escalate instead of investigate. And the moment you start doing that, you are not using paranormal investigation. You're not. You're throwing your ego into the investigation, and there's no ego in paranormal investigation. There's no reason I need to butt heads with a spirit. I don't understand this at all. And I'm a practicing. So I'm sorry if the public's going to have to explain to this witch why you do that. You purport seances like they're fun. You're treating paranormal investigation now like they're carnivals. That was never people like Ed and Lorraine's vision or any of the other pioneers. This was never their vision for the paranormal investigation world. It was always about the truth. Always. What happened to the paranormal investigators out there who were actually looking for the truth? Money was just too great of a temptation to ignore for most people. And truth be told, if you look at the epidemic, I bet you all of this drama ties to everyone who decided, you know what? They can do that on TV. I can do that. And here we are. And now we have those people on TV that don't want to do anything and get on camera and talk to you guys. Instead, they say things like, we're just building quietly over here. I'm sorry, but if you're one of the pioneers of today's mainstream paranormal and you're on TV, I think you owe the people an apology. That's what I think. All of them, because there's millions upon millions following in your footsteps, guys. And they're doing nothing but polluting the field because they're not investigating, they're escalating. That's all they're doing. And social media has actually begun to accept these behaviors. The thumbnail thing, YouTube, I get it, but no. It's a psychological hook, and that's wrong, in my opinion. You're trying to force people to come to paranormal channels because of the thumbnails. Why can't people just look at things organically because they're curious? Why does there have to be a hook? Why does there have to be clickbait? Why does there have to be retention, etc., etc.? Because human beings are trying to tell each other that we're not smart enough to get past bells and whistles? Come on, guys. Humanity has got to be smarter than that still. Okay? So tonight we're going to remove something most investigations rely on. Can anybody guess the word? Starts with an F and ends with an R. We're going to remove the fear. No escalation, no pushing, no trying to force like everybody else in the world does. Everybody's the Rambo of paranormal investigation. And we should all recognize them, right? They all say it similarly, yet differently. Just controlled observation. And then we're going to bring fear back into the investigation on purpose. And if fear really is driving what people experience, then the difference between those two environments should be obvious tonight at 8 o'clock. Because if removing fear changes everything, how much of what everyone around us on the planet, including those on the TV, how much of that are they calling paranormal? Ooh. That is actually being amplified by them on purpose. Somebody has to ask the hard questions. Because tonight we're not testing the paranormal, guys. We're testing what happens when people stop feeding the paranormal industry. And if everything changes tonight, you're not going to want to miss it. Fear. Is the only thing driving the paranormal investigation industry right now that I see. As a lead investigator, it's all I see. I would know it was otherwise if I had people inviting, all right, to hunt and collaborate with them, all right, like we were doing with Blue Mountain Paranormal and Witchfinder Dating, okay? We would be talking to other entities, etc., okay? That's how I know for a fact we've hit a nerve, okay? And that's the point. When is too much investigation bells and whistles too much? Why do we have to use thumbnails to get people's attention? Why do we have to use all our devices in a paranormal investigation? Why do all of you think running a seance and creating Ouija and investigation accessories has anything to do with paranormal investigation? We don't need more things in paranormal investigation when it comes to accessories. We need devices that can help us tell the difference between what we're capturing and what's really happening. Accessories are just that, accessories. And if you look around social media and on here, what do you see? People pushing accessories. I have a shop too for the team, but guess what? We're a nonprofit, so I don't advertise it. That's why I don't advertise it. It's only there, and if somebody buys a cup or a t-shirt, it's a donation. It isn't in my nature to be a greedy person. Never has been, never will be. We give more than we take at Paranormal Witchcraft, LLC, for a reason, because the rest of the world has their hand out. They want you guys to pay them all your money. They want you guys to buy everything, every channel, every episode, every subscription, everything they offer. No questions asked. I think it's about time we start asking some questions. Why? It's probably a good one. That being said, have yourselves a beautiful afternoon. We will see you at 8 p.m. right here with another live stream. All right, it'll be directly correlated to what we just talked about here. Thank you guys. I've missed you all. I hope you were well. Chris, I did see a picture of the boxes you are working on. So thank you. I'm honored. It looks like you're working on your skill there with the boxes. Keep working on that. But thank you. I'm honored. I didn't know you did that until recently. I thought I saw a different profile in here. Hold on a minute. I didn't. So anyways, we're going to keep this at 45 minutes. I am working on the office today a little bit. I'm going to restructure it, etc., because I don't like the flow in here. Or I'm going to move some stuff to the basement. I don't know yet, but it's just not working with the computer. The computer has to be attached to the other side of this door, which I don't like. So when she gets up, I might go look for a longer cord. That way I can move this table around. That would help me a lot. This table has to stay like in the middle of the room. And so I'm stuck with using very specific backgrounds. And so I wanted to make sure this background was okay. It would keep your attention. It's got a light. It's got some books to keep your attention, a cauldron up there, mortar and pestle, my book of shadows, etc. So have yourselves a good afternoon. I missed all of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for the thumbs up. That'll help the algorithm, because the algorithm in our analysis here for the channel says we have had no views for the last 7 days, which makes sense because I haven't done lives for 7 days. So how YouTube works is it only works for us when we are doing live streams. All right. And so it is up to the awesome audience members to take this and share it in as many places as you feel. All right. And then throughout the year, I have no doubt that eventually we will catch a couple extra subscribers here and there. My goal for year one for this channel, I would like to hit 250 members. I know that doesn't seem hard to a lot of you, but if you look at us, we haven't even broke 100 yet. And a lot of that is drama related. So, and that's just something I'm not going to entertain anymore. If somebody out there doesn't like something I've said, something I've done, and they can't tap me, all right, you're going to have no audience with me at all going forward if you do that to me. All right. So if you do something like send me a message and delete it, I will never look at your second message, because that tells me you either said something I didn't want to hear and changed your mind, in which case I'm going to tell you, you should have told me. Okay. So keep that in mind going forward. All right. This is who you're talking to at Paranormal Witchcraft LLC. We are a team of psychic intuitive mediums who happen to have a deep, lifelong passion for the occult, the paranormal, the supernatural, witchcrafts, paranormal research, investigations. Okay. And we like people who are one percenters. We want people who can be real with us. We want people who can tap us and say things. All right. Even if it's conflictual, even if you think it's going to hurt. Okay. If you don't like me, hard left. If you don't like paranormal witchcraft, hard left. But don't pretend to be something and then turn out to be somebody different. Happens way too much, especially on social media. So I'll make a PSA before I shut down. My energy, specifically as a human being, is not for 95% of the world. What does that mean? That means 95% of you will not like me for some reason. It'll be something I've said, something I've done, etc., etc. It just comes with the territory. I cannot go through my whole life waking up every day going, I may not be for you. I may not be for you. I may not be for you. That gets exhausting. You either want to be a friend, you either want to have a working relationship with us, etc., or you don't. All right. That's why we have two working relationships. Right? Because out of the thousands that said, oh, yeah, two teams made it through. Right? They were the 1% teams. All right. Those are the hardcore people we're looking for, not the fluff. Anyone can do the fluff and then change their mind because they just didn't get to know us well enough. All right. So that's the other pet peeve I'm going to say here as a public service announcement. If I tell you my energy isn't for everybody, I mean it. Okay. We are not here to change each other in that way, making each other subservient to our friends around us or our followers. That is not what we're here to do. You follow us, that's awesome. We love each and every one of you for that. But we're not here to change ourselves because we said something that rubs someone the wrong way. That's going to happen. Happens all the time. And I make amends as those things happen. But, all right, that's why I took the mental break. There's too much of that going on. Too much of the he said, she said silent game. That's not going to work. Okay? So now that I've said what I had to say about that, I did think about that all week and how I would say it so I wouldn't upset most people. Okay. I am who I am. We are who we are at Paranormal Witchcraft LLC. We are here with open arms. If we've had a disagreement with you, that's unfortunate. All right. But if somebody hasn't specifically tapped me to work things out, there's not a whole lot I can do about that. Okay, and I'm going to have a hard time giving you an audience, especially if you're mad at me and you couldn't come to me first. All right, then I'm going to get mad at you because why didn't you come to me first? All right. That's like if Chris did something to annoy me, I'm going to tap Chris and go, hey, Chris, I don't like that. Problem solved. Chris knows I don't like that. He won't do it again. Or we just can't come to a compromise and we part ways as friends. Okay. But the social media game right now, nah. All right. You're not going to find me socializing anymore over there. All right. Not going to do it. Not when I know for a fact that most people over there aren't really over there to socialize anymore. They're over there to farm people and to grow businesses, etc., 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 etc. Okay. That's why I'm only on this channel. Don't really want to be there. But the groups were started there, and so I will remain to have a presence there, etc., etc. Have yourselves a good afternoon. We'll see you at 8 o'clock. Merry meet, blessed be. Thank you three for tuning in as always. Share, subscribe, all right, like. We would really appreciate that. And tonight, don't forget, we're going to be continuing this conversation with a little bit of experimentation, having a little fun. All right, that is not performance. Okay, it is for a very specific purpose. So if you know, and these three do, have yourselves a blessed afternoon. Tobias Josephson out. We'll see you at 8 o'clock.